Welcome again, listeners. There is a lot to cover. Um, there's a lot to cover this evening. I'm not so sure we will have enough time to cover everything, but let's see how far we can go. I want to talk to you about Damian Crawford's craftiness. Yeah, because I think that Crawford has been crafty with that attempt to sue the government. I want to talk to you about that. And I want to show you that Mr. Crawford craftiness may have ended his political bid to become president of the People's National Party. Mr. Crawford's attempt to sue the government is absurd. It's nonsense. And I'm not a lawyer, but I did a little bit of reading of it today. It's foolishness. And Mr. Crawford is someone that I used to admire. As a matter of fact, Mr. Crawford has appeared on this program twice. And I was prepared to listen to Mr. Crawford. But in recent times, I must tell you, Mr. Crawford is disappointing. And I would encourage Mr. Crawford to withdraw the legal suit, Mr. Crawford. It's not going anywhere. Withdraw it. It makes you look rather silly. Rather silly. So I want to talk to you about that. I also want to talk to you about what happened in Parliament yesterday. As a matter of fact, maybe I should start with that. The whole matter of the Mace, since as that is topical on a lot of people's mind. Let's see if we can start there. So welcome to YouTubers, welcome to the TikTokers, and please remember, help us to meet our live goals and support the program as much as you can. So when Angela Brown Burke was suspended from Parliament for touching the Mace and defying the Speaker, something else was thrown out with her. And that something is moral leadership. You see, the opposition leader's refusal to correct his member of parliament and the collective defense of law breaking in the lawmaking chamber represents a suspension of the ethical contract between parliament and the people. Because if lawmakers become lawbreakers, if the alternative prime minister is complicit in contempt of the chair, then parliament ceases to be the temple of order and it becomes the theater of anarchy. That is not just unparliamentary, It is anti-philosophical. And it's a betrayal of the example a nation's leader owe to its citizens. It looks worse on Mr. Golding than on Miss Brown Burke herself. I want you to understand that. Yesterday, Angela Brown Burke was thrown out of Parliament. She touched the Mace, the symbol of the Speaker's authority. And when named, she refused to leave. Let's be honest. Two things were thrown out of the Parliament yesterday. One was a member of Parliament. The other was moral leadership. Moral leadership was thrown out of Parliament yesterday. And the man who threw it out wasn't the sergeant at arms or the corporal. It was the leader. It was thrown out by a man who is aspiring to lead Jamaica. And I want you to understand why this matters. You have to understand what the mace is. It's not a gold stick. It represents order. It represents order. The mace means that the speaker is present. The speaker means the rules are present. The rules mean that people are present. You and I were present in Parliament yesterday, you know. You know that? We own that space. And we were disrespected. It was not only Mrs. Wholeness that was disrespected. It was you. It was me. And are you going to sit there and accept that? Are you going to sit there and accept this type of disrespect to your house? The rules of Parliament mean that the people are present. So when you touch the mace in defiance, you're not just touching a staff. You are touching the social contract. You are saying the rules don't bind me. And that is the philosophy of anarchy. In 30 seconds, the People's National Party defined who they are. And it is a lesson the people of Jamaica must not forget to learn. And it happened in the lawmaking chamber of Jamaica. You know, silence can be complicit. But worse than the breach was the response. As if you think the breach was bad, look at the response. Mark Golding watched the PNP caucus surrounded her. They did not say, member, respect the chair. They said, with their bodies, we stand with contempt. Contempt is being displayed in our parliament. And the PNP said, we stand with it. It's called the ethics of example. The ethics of example. A leader is not what he says. A leader is what he tolerates. And Mark Golding further defined himself yesterday by what he tolerated. Mark Bolin tolerated lawbreaking. And he tolerated lawbreaking in a lawmaking body. He is the alternative prime minister. His job is to model government in waiting. So I ask you, if the man who wants to run Jamaica cannot run his caucus, you know what the Bible says? That a man is not fit to lead the church if him can't lead him yard. A man is not fit to lead the church if he's unable to control his wife and his children. He's not fit to lead. And a man who cannot control his caucus, if he cannot tell his own MP, sit down or listen to the speaker, when the speaker says sit down, what is he telling Jamaica? He's telling us that rules are optional. If you disagree with them, they're optional. You know, I want the people of Jamaica to wake up and to take note of what is happening, you know. Parliament is the highest decision-making body. Parliament makes law. So when lawmakers break the law of Parliament, they are teaching the nation a new philosophy. Something happened in Jamaica yesterday that must never be unremembered, if I may coin a word. Something happened in the Parliament yesterday that we must never forget. Lawmakers are not to break the law of Parliament. When you do that, you are teaching the taxi man that the road code is a suggestion. Is the road code a suggestion? You are teaching the student that the principal's detention is negotiable. You are teaching the youth that if you don't like the referee, tackle the referee. If the ref makes a ruling and you're playing football, don't worry about that. Keep playing. You cannot legislate order if you model disorder. Repeat, you cannot legislate order if you model disorder. You cannot sentence a man for contempt of court if you committed contempt of Parliament on television. Moral leadership was suspended in that moment because the example was suspended. And a society without example is a society without compass. You know, they talk about the moral compass. A society without example is a society without compass. The alternative to authority is chaos. You know, earlier this morning, my friend Pastor Young, we had a brief brief exchange about authority and power. Authority and power are not the same. Power is I can. Authority is I may. When you speak of power, it's to do. When you speak of authority, is I may. So if you're driving down the road and the police puts up their hand to stop you, the police don't have no power to stop you. What the police possess is authority, not power. Because if you decide that you ain't going to stop, yes, you're going to be breaking the law, but you hit that gas pedal, you ain't have no power to stop you. You know, when I hear them talk about absolute power, rubbish. Anyway, the speaker had authority. Brown Burke had no power to overrule it. Golding had the authority to correct her. He chose not to use it. So power filled the vacuum, shouting, defiance. And that is the philosophical test of every opposition leader. When your side is wrong, do you still lead them right? Yesterday, Mark Golding failed that test. Angela Brown Burke broke a rule. Her leader broke a principle. And for Jamaicans looking on, the lesson is clear. Hard to say, you know. Hard to say, but I promise you I will have to tell you the truth. Doesn't matter the cost. It doesn't matter the cost. You can't trust a party to uphold the Constitution if it won't uphold the standing orders. I want to say that. You can't trust a party to uphold the Constitution if they fail to uphold the standing orders. You can't call yourself the alternative government if your alternative to rules is riot. Moral leadership was suspended. And that's the greater point to make. And until the PNP picks it up off the floor, they should stay suspended from office. The PNP ought not to be allowed to lead this country if they do not pick up moral leadership off the floor. They wiped the floor when it comes on to moral leadership yesterday.
Asking everyone to please repost the live. Tap and share, please.
I can deepen this for you, you know. I can deepen it in what is called Plato's cave. The PNP were in a cave yesterday. They saw the shadow of the mace and thought it was just a stick. They forget the light source is the law. And when leaders mistake symbols for props, the people stay in darkness. When leaders mistake symbols for props, the people stay in darkness. That's Plato's cave. Or I could tell you about Kant's categorical imperative. According to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. So Mark Golin, do you will that every Jamaican, when told to stop by a cop, grab this cop's badge? Is that what we should do? When we are told by the policeman to stop, grab the cop's badge? If not, then you can't will that your MP grab the mace. I could even tell you about Locke's social contract. That government exists because we trade some of our freedoms for order. That's what it is about. Parliament is where the trade is signed. And when MPs defy the Speaker, they're tearing up the social contract. It's a rip. It has no sense. Don't make no sense. Tear it up. No use. And a country without a social contract is just 2.8 million people with opinions and no referee. Think about a football match without no referee. Think about a cricket match without no umpire. Think about a classroom without a teacher and a school without a principal. That's what the social contract is about. She touched the mace, he touched his moral authority goodbye, unfit to lead. He's worse than Angela. I know the comrades ain't like that, but it's true. She touched the mace, he touched his moral authority. Goodbye. The mace means order. The PNP made it optional. Order is optional. You can't be the alternative prime minister if your alternative to rules is anarchy. Brown Burke was escorted out. No, she was not. Her parliamentary colleagues accompanied her out. Moral leadership walked out of its own. Let's go to Nara. (27 minutes to 8 o'clock). The People's National Party unanimous no on the Nara bill is not a policy objection. It is a philosophical confession. It is the politics of obstruction over reconstruction. And when a party formed to build a nation votes against rebuilding that nation, it reveals a deeper doctrine. It tells you that opposition means stagnation, negation, obstruction, and even corruption. That party survival outranks national survival. And that they trust their own history of mismanagement so little that they cannot abide. They cannot bear to see the government succeeding where they fear they would fail. Christopher Tufton said that. I'll get to it. This is not parliamentary oversight. It's political self-preservation disguised as principle. Hypocrites. and it exposes why they remain unfit to govern. Hypocrites they are. That's not oversight. Go with that. You know it's not true. You know, they pull the wool. They pull the wool over the people's eyes. I'm going to tell you why the PNP voted no. Aristotle defined politics as the art of the possible. In modern Westminster theory, it says that the opposition job is to be the government in waiting, to critique, to amend, to improve. Did the PNP offer any alternative reconstruction plan? Did they offer any? Where is the PNP's reconstruction plan? Where did? Listeners, when your identity is we oppose, then rebuilding becomes a threat. When your identity is we oppose, rebuilding becomes a threat. If NARA works, the JLP argument becomes we build. They block. So the PNP choose to block, to preserve the only role they have left. Blockers. The PNP's platform isn't build back better. It is make sure nobody builds back at all. They're right. They really are a pathetic set, you know, because I could, you know, I tell you the truth. It's amazing. You know, John Locke says that government derives legitimacy from the trust of the governed. And Christopher Tufton went there. They don't trust themselves. The legitimacy of the government is derived. It's derived. The trust of the governed. So the governed are the people. But what if the party itself doesn't trust its own record? The PNP don't trust themselves. And they have good reason not to. Look at the history. 40,000 businesses gone under FINSA. Traffic guru. The Cuban light bulb scandal. Outer many. Petra Jam. You know, somebody sent me a list of the scandals. I wonder if I can find it. I wonder if I can find it. But maybe not. Maybe I can't find it. There was a pattern where money for the people became scandal for the party. The NARA problem is a 6.7 billion United States dollar visible construction. The PNP looks at it and sees not opportunity, but indictment. And their unspoken logic. If we had 6.7 billion, you'd be right to investigate us. You see that? If we had 6.7 billion, you would be investigating us. You'd be right to investigate us. So we must investigate them. Low trust. They don't trust themselves. That's the problem.
Neighbor, please check again, please.
This isn't distrust of the bill. It's distrust of themselves projected onto a bill. Fascinating stuff. You cannot vote yes for something you believe you would corrupt. Can't happen. You can't vote yes to something that you would corrupt yourself. You understand what I'm saying? What a pickle. Oh, what a tangled web they weave when they try to deceive. How much of this they said? They just send it to me. I want to get half of it. The Cuban light bulb, FinSac, bad gas, dead baby scandal, EWI energy scandal, Chick V scandal, Shell waiver scandal, Skeng Dunk contract to build a wall around Heroes Park just before the February 2016-25 general election, NHT bailout, out of many. Too many to name. Omar Davies run with its scandal. NHD bailout for PNP member and prickly poll scandal. Spallings market scandal. Agriculture bank scandal. You can't vote yes for something you believe you would corrupt. He who has burned the house once fear the matches. You burn down so much house, so you're afraid of matches. Even when someone else is holding the fire hose. He who once burned the house now fears all matches. What a preke. It's fascinating. You know, Machiavelli wrote that a prince must avoid being hated, but above all must avoid being outperformed. If you read the 48 laws of power, I don't agree with it, but it applies here. Kind of a Machiavellian philosophy. You see, there's an electoral map. Because NARA isn't just about concrete, you know. NARA is advertisement. Every school open in St. Thomas is a JLP billboard. Then just a Walker cut ribbon. Every seawall that is rebuilt in Portland is a rebuttal to time come. NARA rebuts time come. The PNP is without a message. They're in a mess. They really are searching for, but I could help them if they just listen to this program. Yes? I could help them. Look at Mr. Crawford. I get into him. I get into poor Damian Crawford. If they vote yes, they co-own the success. If it works, voters say, good, both parties bill. But if they vote no, they pray that it fails or claim, we told you so. Better to be the prophet of disaster than the witness to recovery. And this is politics. It's a zero-sum war. Your opponent's win is your loss, even if the nation wins. So you obstruct the nation to prevent the loss. The PNP looked at hurricane victims getting houses and thought, but what do we get? That's not opposition. That's opposition to the people. And they are being exposed because they deserve to be exposed. They deserve to be exposed. Angela Brown Burke touched the mace and defied the speaker. Mark Golding did not correct her. The PNP caucus defended her. Moral leadership suspended. That same caucus voted no on reconstruction. A party that won't obey the standing orders, won't obey the national interests. Give me a second there.
Everyone, please tap the screen and share the live, and remember to repost the live as you join. Thanks much.
So the no vote wasn't a policy decision. It was the moral decision of a caucus that already decided rules are optional and reconstruction is just another rule they opted out of. You can't rebuild a country with people who won't obey the gavel. So they create this artificial thing in Parliament. This is not governance. This is grief over relevance. And a grieving party, that is what is happening to the PNP. They are grieving. A grieving party cannot govern. You know as well as I do that if you lose a relationship, you don't get into another one before you heal. Because hurting people hurt people. The PNP is hurting. The People's National Party need therapy. Mark Golding need therapy. Dayton Campbell, you need therapy. Miss Nikisha Burchell, therapy. Dr. Dawes, you're a doctor, you need therapy. All of them over there, they're hurting. It's like the child who can't get the toy. So no one can. You ever have them bad picnic? And if they can't get the toy, then they mash you up. That is the opposition People's National Party. This is not governance. This is grief over relevance. Pity the PNP. They're hurting. Pity them. I got a pastor to pray for them. Prayer. I want you to bow your heads at this time. Everybody, let's look to the Lord on behalf of the People's National Party. They're hurting. Let's look to the Lord for them. They are really grieving. But what did they lose? What did they lose? They lost the 2025 election and they haven't recovered. A grieving party cannot govern. It can only mourn by obstruction. It's a more what you saw in the parliament was was a party mourning the 2025 loss. They mourn by obstruction. But Pelusi Perry, I thought that you were a man of God. Pray for them, the man. Pelusi Perry, pray for your party. But last night, Nara passed. Not one PNP vote. Now you tell me, should Nara go to Westmoreland? Should Nara go to Miss Burchell's constituency? I'm sure it will. But I hope that the Jamaica Labour Party take steps to show Jamaica the hypocrisy in the parliament. Put up their picture on billboard. They voted no. To rebuild Jamaica after Melissa, the People's National Party said no. To rebuild Jamaica, the PNP says no. No to schools, no to hospitals, no to bridges, no to road construction, no to clinics, no to hospitals. No, we don't want to rebuild. Now ask yourself, why? Why would the party of Norman Washington Manley, the party of Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller, vote against building schools? Damian Crawford. Let me sit down and talk to Mr. Crawford, my friend. Damian Crawford, you are a prospective leader of the party. You said you want to lead the PNP. You're in Parliament talking about education, and you vote against building schools. You Rasta. That makes sense? Rasta, you are sue government. You are sue government over education, and you go to Parliament, go vote no. You Rasta. No wonder they call you Trixie. Yeah, Trixie? Come on, man. Do better than that. Because it's not about Nara. It's about them. They don't see reconstruction. They see flashbacks. They don't trust themselves with power. So they can't let anyone else have it. That's not oversight. The PNP yesterday were at the altar. They were at the altar confessing the sins of the past PNP was on display in the parliament. They are confessing their sins. The sins of Finsack was on display. The sins of Trafigura was in the parliament. The sins of Petrojam. They look at the $6.7 billion and they don't see reconstruction. They see flashbacks. It's a psychological moment of weakness for Michael Manley's party. Because Nara works. And if it works, time come dead. Time come dead. Every House bill is a lost vote. So their maths is simple. If we can't take the credit, we'll make sure nothing or no one takes it. That's not opposition. That's opposition to progress. 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. 2 minutes to 8 o'clock. But I have a little bit more to go. It reveals something as I bring this to a close, because a government in waiting waits to build. A government in waiting waits to build. A party in denial waits or votes to block. Let's do that again. A government in waiting waits to build. A party in denial votes to block. The PNP is in denial. Yesterday, they defied the speaker. Today, they defy reconstruction. Tomorrow, they'll ask for your vote. But how can you give power to a party that is afraid of power? How you give power to a man who is afraid of power? How can you trust a party to run the country if they won't even run their own caucus by the rules? The PNP didn't vote against the bill. They voted against their own pass. The People's National Party voted against their own pass. And they took Jamaica's future down with it. That is the politics of obstruction, and that is why they are in opposition. And that is why they should stay there. The PNP voted no on reconstruction because the only thing they're trying to rebuild is their relevance. And the PNP will break Jamaica to do it.